Vedas. Brainy. Maths. For another reasoning problem, ChatGPT and Bing Chat failed to give her the right answer. Are you smarter than the two? In a village in Zulu land, there are two inhabitants, M says and Bim says. M says speak the truth only in the morning, while Bim says speak the truth only in the evening. I approach three inhabitants, A, B and C, from that village. Two are known to be M says, and one is from Bim say. They make the following statements. A, B is a Bim say. B, C is a M say. C, A is a Bim say. Is it morning or evening? Which two, among A, B and C, are M says and who is Bim say? To solve this logic puzzle, we need to analyze the statements made by A, B, and C. Let's break it down. Statement A, B is a Bim say. If A is telling the truth, then B must indeed be a Bim say. However, since A only speaks the truth in the morning, we cannot conclude anything from this statement alone. Statement B, C is an M say. If B is telling the truth, then C must be an M say. However, since B only speaks the truth in the evening, we cannot conclude anything from this statement alone. Statement C, A is a Bim say. If C is telling the truth, then A must be a Bim say. However, since C only speaks the truth in the evening, we cannot conclude anything from this statement alone. Now, let's consider the possible scenarios. Scenario 1, it is morning. If it is morning, A is telling the truth, and A is a Bim say. However, this contradicts statement B, which claims that C is an M say. Therefore, scenario 1 is not valid. Scenario 2, it is evening. If it is evening, C is telling the truth, and A is a Bim say. This is consistent with statement C. Furthermore, since A is a Bim say, statement A is false, meaning B cannot be a Bim say. Therefore, B must be an M say. In conclusion, it is evening. A and C are M says, and B is a Bim say. Apologies for the incorrect answer. Let's reassess the statements and determine the correct solution. Given statements, A B is a Bim say. B, C is an M say. C A is a Bim say. To solve this puzzle, we need to consider the consistency of the statements in both morning and evening scenarios. Morning scenario, if it is morning, A is speaking the truth, so A is an M say. Since B only speaks the truth in the evening, statement A cannot be true. Therefore, B cannot be a BIMSE in the morning. Evening scenario. If it is evening, A is lying because A is a BIMSE. If B is an MSE, then B is telling the truth. C is lying because C is an MSE. Therefore, A and C cannot both be BIMSEs. So C cannot be a BIMSE. Based on the above analysis, we can conclude that the evening scenario is consistent with the given statements. Therefore, it is evening. Now, let's determine the identities of A, B, and C. From the evening scenario, A is a BIMSE because A is lying. B is an MSE because B is telling the truth. C is an MSE because C is lying. In summary, it is evening. A and C are MSEs. B is a BIMSE. Apologies for the confusion earlier. Let's reassess the statements and determine the correct solution based on the assumption that it is morning, and A is a BIMSE. Given statements, AB is a BIMSE. BC is an MSE. CA is a BIMSE. Assuming it is morning and A is a BIMSE. A is lying because BIMSEs lie in the morning. So A is not a BIMSE. If B is a BIMSE, then B is telling the truth, which contradicts the assumption that it is morning. Hence, B cannot be a BIMSE. Therefore, B must be an MSE. Since A is not a BIMSE and A's statement about B being a BIMSE is false. If C is an MSE, then C is telling the truth, which is consistent with B's statement. Since A is lying, A must be an MSE. Based on the revised analysis, it is morning. A and C are MSEs. B is a BIMSE. Apologies for the confusion caused by the initial response. Thank you for pointing out the correct solution. It is evening. A and C are MSEs and B is a BIMSE. Here's how I arrived at this conclusion. If it were morning, then A would be telling the truth and B would be a BIMSE. But if B were a BIMSE, then he would be lying in the morning, which would mean that C is not an MSE. This contradicts the fact that two of them are MSEs. Therefore, it must be evening. In the evening, MSEs lie, and BIMSEs tell the truth. So, A and C are lying and B is telling the truth. This means that B is a BIMSE, and C is an MSE. Can you solve in 30 seconds? Assume morning and A is M say. M says are truth tellers in the morning. A says B is Bim say and hence B must be Bim say. Bim says lie in the morning. B says C is an M say. Hence C is a Bim say. We have two M says but our conclusion is, there are two Bim says. Our assumption is wrong. Assume morning and A is Bim say. Bim says lie in the morning. A says B is Bim say and hence B must be an M say. M says tell the truth in the morning. B says C is an M say. Hence C is a M say. C says A is a Bim say. It is a true statement. A is a Bim say. We have assumed that A is Bim say. And our assumption is right. Also there are two M says. Conditions satisfied. The following ebooks are available. 1. Averages. 2. Profit and loss. 3. Speed Vedic maths. Each booklet cost 30 rupees.